Hey guys, Metal Jesus here. Now when it comes to my favorite arcade games, two genres always stand out. I always go back to, that is of course shoot 'em ups and run and guns. And when it comes to run and gun games, my all-time favorite is Metal Slug 3. You see it right here on the screen. And so for this video, I thought it might be kind of fun to talk about some of the Metal Slug clones that are out there. We're going to talk about arcade games as well as console games, PC games. There's going to be a lot to take in here, so let's take a look. Starting with Mercenary Kings Reloaded. So this was originally kickstarted back in 2014, and at that time it was released just for Windows and the PlayStation 4. However, 4 years later, the Reloaded version came out, and you see it right here. I'm running it on Switch, but you could also get it for Xbox One and even the PlayStation Vita. Now, what makes this game somewhat different than just your typical Metal Slug is that it is mission-based rather than having sort of just a linear stage to run through. You basically have this hub area, which is your camp, that you can walk around before mission starts. You can upgrade your weapons, your armor, you can add accessories, you can change your costume, and you can also talk to a bunch of the NPCs. Now, another thing that's really different about this game is that picking up loot dropped by enemies that you take out is a big part of this game. You need to gather resources to then take back to camp to build all those new weapons and upgrades. And so in many ways in this game, if you have time in a mission, you actually are kind of grinding for resources. It's pretty cool and it's very addictive. And this is the same developer that worked on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, another really highly regarded game. So if you haven't checked out Mercenary Kings Reloaded, it's definitely a lot of fun. There's some serious challenge there, so check it out. Oh yeah, here's a game I'm excited to talk about. This is Demon Front. So this is a game that was only released in arcades back in 2002. And the strange thing is, it has yet to find a home console or PC release. And that is a real shame too, because it has fantastic visuals in gameplay. As a matter of fact, I get asked about this game all the time because I often include it in some of my intros and exits on my YouTube videos, and people are always wondering, like, what the heck is that game? Well, the reason why I haven't played it is because it only came out in arcades. Now, one of the things that makes this game kind of unique is that each of the characters that you play has a pet that travels with you, and then you can charge them up by holding down the fire button. Also, you have access to a shield, which can help quite a bit in a game like this. You know, overall, I think this is pretty standard stuff if you played and enjoyed the Metal Slug series, but here it's done extremely well. I mean, this is definitely one of my favorite run and gun games. So, you know, if you happen to see it in an arcade, you should definitely check it out, or you're probably going to have to run it on an emulator. Here is another game I'm really excited to talk about. This is Alien Hominid. So this was originally developed as a Flash game all the way back in 2002 for Newgrounds.com. I think that's where a lot of people played this game, but then in 2004, it got ports over to the PlayStation 2, the GameCube, and then eventually the Xbox. And so you are seeing the original Xbox version here. You play as an alien that is trying to fight off waves and waves of secret agents, all while trying to avoid those nasty one-hit kills. Yeah, this is definitely one of the more challenging games in this video, at least for me. I'm not very good at this game, but it is so satisfying when you finally complete a level. Plus, I love the hand-drawn cartoon, Flash-style visuals of this. It really makes this game kind of hold up. I mean, it looks fantastic even today, don't you think? The developer of this game, called The Behemoth, went on to great success after this with Castle Crashers, which, for a while there took over the gaming world. So they definitely know what they're doing. Next up are two games that are considered total hidden gems on the Game Boy Advance. That, of course, is Lilo and Stitch 1 and 2. Now, I remember vividly somebody years ago messaging me saying, dude, you've got to check out these two games on the Game Boy Advance based on the popular Disney animated movie. And I was like, okay. I mean, honestly, you typically would get a movie license game like this and they would totally suck. But I think it helps because the developer of this, which is Digital Eclipse, well, they have a long history of making, Game Boy Color games, PlayStation games, other Game Boy Advance games. So maybe that's why this one is so fun. But needless to say, and you can see that based on the gameplay footage here, they are way better than you would expect. And another thing I like about it is that they are exclusive to the Game Boy Advance. So yet another reason to get these and play them on that handheld. Again, trust me on this, they're way better than you would ever expect them to be. Next up is a run and gun game that Reggie introduced me to. As a matter of fact, he has a full Let's Play of this game from beginning to end on his YouTube channel. You should definitely check that out. But that is Dolphin Blue, and it's running on the Dreamcast. Now, this game started life in the arcades back in 2003, but then, as you see here, got ported over to the Dreamcast. I actually have the physical version, which is really nice. This is one of those games that a lot of people were really hoping would get ported over to Dreamcast. It's awesome to see it here. Now, the premise of this game is that in the near future, almost all of the land has pretty much disappeared because of rising water levels. So it's got a little bit of a ecological message going on here. And because of that, you spend most of the time in this game, well, basically you riding dolphins, which is something kind of different and very unique to this game. And as you can see by this gameplay footage, it's got some really sharp, excellent visuals. This is a really cool game, and again, kind of a newer release / port for the Dreamcast. How cool is that? Here is another arcade run and gun game with a kind of a silly name. So this one's called Cyberlip, and this was originally released by SNK back in 1990 for the Neo Geo. Now, the reason why it's called Cyberlip is because that's the name of the supercomputer that was designed to try and control the robotic soldiers mankind had created to repel an impending alien attack in the future. So yeah, but unfortunately plans go awry, robots and aliens join forces, and now it's up to you. You got to try to stop them and save the Earth. I mean, that's a 1980s movie right there. Now, I guess this game did see a port to the Neo Geo CD, which is pretty cool, and because of that, they had a little bit more space to work with, so they included a little bit more story animation and dialogue to kind of help explain the plot, which I find kind of hilarious because it doesn't seem like it's that complicated of a plot to me, but sure. However, prices range anywhere from $200 to $400 for that CD version, and it costs even more if you want to get the original arcade version. So it's definitely a game that a lot of people would like to own, but it is expensive. Oh yes, next up is Broforce. Oh my gosh, I love this game as well. So Broforce is a newer run and gun game, but it's unlike anything else in this list because, as you see from this gameplay footage here, the levels and the environment is completely destructible, and that changes everything about it. For instance, you're still trying to save and rescue people, but how you go about that is completely up to you. I mean, you can follow the terrain and try to save them, or you can use your weapon and just blow your way through walls to get to them. I mean, it's amazing. And then the other aspect of this game that's really fun is that they have tons of characters that you can play that are parodies of really famous action heroes. So for instance, you can unlock characters that look like John Rambo or Blade or Snake Plissken or the Terminator or Indiana Jones. They've got Neo from the Matrix, Conan the Barbarian, they got Ripley. It just goes on and on and on. And the way you do that is by rescuing people. Now, what's interesting is that they don't let you choose the character. Instead, what happens is it's randomized every time you start a level, every time you die, or every time that you rescue someone. So you're constantly switching characters and weapons. This game is never boring. It's always different and super fun. Definitely check it out. Here's another series that is primarily known for being on the Game Boy Advance, but they did get versions released on the PlayStation 1, at least in Europe, and that is the CT Special Forces series. And it's really interesting to me why the Game Boy Advance got so many of these great run-and-gun shooters. And these games definitely at first glance will remind you of Metal Slug, but where they stand out is in the level design here. You spend a lot more time moving up and down and around levels than you normally would in, say, Metal Slug. And at the time, these were criticized for being somewhat short, but maybe you're like me, where now I actually kind of prefer games that are short, sweet, and to the point, and this is definitely one of them. I should also mention that one of the neat features of these games are the inclusion of mini games like you see here. These really help break up the action. I definitely like this. And here we have Sunset Rider. So this is a run and gun that is set in the Old West. Now that's not something that you see every day, don't you think? Now what I like about this game, what kind of sets it apart, is that it has a great kind of unique sense of humor here. Plus, it's just a really fun game to play. You can tell while playing this game that the developers were probably having a ball just thinking up new and creative, funny ways to challenge the player. Sunset Riders was originally an arcade game that got home console ports to the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, and you are seeing the Super Nintendo version here. And what's crazy is that this is one of the more collectible games in the Super Nintendo library. Often, people will ask over $400 for a complete in-box copy of this game. However, thankfully, you can download the game digitally for way less on the PlayStation 4 and the Switch. Alright guys, well those are the 9 Metal Slug clone games that I think you should check out if you like playing run and gun games. And by the way, the idea for this video came from my Facebook group. A user there, Ryan, posted this question on there, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for the idea. If you're not part of that Facebook group, I highly recommend you go over there and join it. There are some great people over there, some amazing discussions like this. And then also let me know what other Metal Slug clone games you think are worth checking out. Please post a comment down below. And as always, guys, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.